Hey guys, SK here, back with another Clash Royale video. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm actually pretty excited because today I'm going to be showing you guys something new. I'm also pretty happy because I've already worked on another video today earlier, and then right now I'm recording another one, so just kind of a burst in motivation for me. It's been pretty good because, as you guys might know, I've been kind of taking some time off from content creation and recording and uploading, and mostly just doing it when I feel up to it. If I'm not really feeling up to making a video, I just don't really pressure myself to do it that day, and it's been a lot better because I'm a lot happier with what I'm doing and I'm not feeling burnt out or anything, so it's great. But yeah, today, I also thank you guys so much for all the support on my recent ladder push videos. It's been amazing, and even after taking time off, it's still doing really well, so that's just really nice to see. But today I'm going to be showing you guys, as you might have been able to tell by the title, it's going to be a different XBOW deck, and it's going to be this XBOW cycle deck with the Archer Queen. Actually, I have one card off there. Have to put the rocket in. This is going to be the deck, right? So as I mentioned, or as you might have been able to tell by my title and thumbnail that I haven't made yet, but I will be probably making, this deck I feel has a much better chance in the meta. And so if you have been watching myself or any other XBOW YouTuber like Aragon lately, or even just been in connection with the game or been in touch with the game and the meta in the last month or two, it's been one of the worst metas for XBOW Cycle in a very long time, especially 3.0 XBOW Cycle, which has been really sad to see because, you know, this is a beloved deck. I know a lot of people hate it, but it is the longest standing XBOW deck that's still used to this day, and it's kind of just the evolution of 2.9, and it kind of sucks to see it being in such a bad spot. So, you know, I'm hoping we can get some kind of balance changes to come our way. I might be making a video on my balance change wish list. Let me know if you guys would be interested in a video like that. I was considering making a balance update criticism video a while ago, but I didn't decide to do it. Let me know. But yeah, so this deck, I'll spend a bit of time talking about this deck, and then I'm going to be showing you guys 3 replays. So as you can see, I'm currently 8 wins in a grand challenge. I will not be playing live today, but I have 3 great games, and that's what kind of inspired me to make the video. So I have a win against Hog Rider Earthquake with Giant Skeleton, going to be a super hard counter to normal XBOW decks. We have Electro Giant Mirror with Rocket. This is basically the bread and butter of the new meta, and this deck can win against it, so it's amazing. And then lastly, I have a win against Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton, Earthquake. So 3 ultra hard counters. I also did win against another Hog Earthquake deck earlier. Sadly, I lost to Royal Recruits twice. Just honestly really hard with the Golden Knight in there, so very annoying. But this one I think I lost by literally 1 flying machine hit at last second, so kind of sucked. But anyways, gonna be showing you guys 3 different replays today, and I'll be kind of breaking down, dissecting the games and why I think this deck can give you guys a better chance if you want to try it in the meta. If you watched my most recent ladder push video, I used this deck at the very end, and so I did actually reach 7,330 trophies and above with 3.0 XBOW Cycle by itself. But when I was tilting a lot, I decided to switch a few times, and this was the deck that I used. So if I can just... Okay, I can't see the league, unfortunately, but yeah, last season I did finish 73-39 on this account. It doesn't show because I haven't played a ladder game yet, but I did. You'll probably be able to tell if I make the video anyways, but yeah, I use this deck to untilt because I feel like it just has a really great shot at beating all the really ridiculous matchups. And so I'll spend a little bit talking about the deck. So this is going to be a pretty basic XBOW Cycle deck. We do have the building in there, we have the log, we have the cycle cards, we have the big spell, we have the knight, which is usually either knight or Valkyrie these days, and then we do have the Archer Queen. So biggest change I would say is that we have the cannon instead of the Tesla. And this is pretty interesting because cannon I feel like is a very good building. I feel like it's A tier, and I feel like Tesla is probably B tier or even C possibly. It's just so bad, and cannon is a better Tesla in every single way except against air. Any non-air deck, and mainly just Lava Hound, honestly. I mean, Balloon Cycle or Lumberloon, cannon does just as well because it still takes 2 hits of a balloon. You can kill the balloon with the Archer Queen. It's mainly just Lava Loon where you do need that Tesla to help out, but you can still beat Lava Loon with this deck, of course. So Cannon is honestly just a better Tesla. It does everything a Tesla can do for cheaper, much better against Golem, against Hog Rider, against Giant, and mainly much better against Electro Giant, which is something you'll see in the replay later on. So just really great to be using in this deck. Of course, without the Tesla, we are lacking air support, so we do have the Archer Queen. Going to be a bit stronger of a defensive core than Archers in terms of air support. Granted, you can only cycle one Archer Queen at a time, which can be kind of bad. But other than that, Archer Queen is very solid. Also, main reason Archer Queen is so good, not only is she super good by herself and with the ability, but also she enables the 3-card cycle, which is another amazing, amazing thing for any deck, but especially a deck like this. We have the Knight, pretty standard. We have the Skeletons. We do have a Fire Spirit instead of Ice or Electro Spirit, which is really good, actually, because it's super strong and oppressive at pressuring. So you play it at the bridge. If you take a look, it literally does more damage than a Fireball. A Fireball does like 275 or 4, I'd like to say. Fire Spirit does 301 damage for 3 less elixir than a Fireball. So it's going to be baiting out responses way more often than not. And it is still very good against other Swarm. Like Bats, it's super good against because it just splashes onto all of them. It's only a bit worse than the other spirits against Graveyard, which Electro Spirit would be better against, and against any kind of big tank like a Giant, like an Electro Giant, you would want an Ice Spirit against that, but still a very solid pressure card. And then the last thing I want to highlight is the fact that we have a Rocket in here, and so normally when you have an Expo Cycle deck that is good in the meta, it means it has a viable win condition, and Expo is not a very viable win condition right now. It's a very weak card in all honesty, and it's hard to get connections to the tower. That's where the Rocket comes in. If you can't break through with a Expo, you can be having success with Rocket cycling instead, and especially with the Archer Queen in there, with the 3-card cycle, you can cycle Rockets, Logs, much better. Even though Log was nerfed, still a very key component on defense, and it can still be used to cycle. So yeah, that's going to be the breakdown. I guess pretty long breakdown and kind of explanation of the deck, but I will probably be adding a text bit at the start of the video to show you guys a timestamp if you want to skip this whole intro, although I guess everyone who skipped wouldn't be watching this, and if you didn't skip, then I shouldn't be explaining it to you guys. But anyways, let's get into the matches before we make it too long. So again, I have 3 matches against 3 hard counters. First one's going to be Hog Rider Earthquake, which got me to 8 wins in this Grand Challenge. Let's take a look at the match. Going to make it a bit softer because it's pretty loud. But yeah, first match here against a Japanese player. And so I'll just kind of be breaking down the game itself and just going to be showing you guys how you can play the second. It's kind of funny, we did the exact same play but mirrored it. It was pretty cool, and I went for a cannon. So at this point, I have the same exact deck as him from what it looks like, with the Log next as well. He might be thinking it's a mirror match of sorts. I just go for a Log, and he sets up with a Giant Skeleton in the back. And I decide to Expo because this is a very expensive commitment, and so I could have gone Knight in the back, but then I feel like it would have just walked up and it wouldn't have done that much. I feel like Expo was pretty much the best, or Archer Queen in the back, either one would have worked. But Expo is definitely fine, I feel like. So I go for the Expo, and he decides to wait on the cannon. Maybe he was waiting to see if I would go for a Knight to predict, but I feel like, again, that was too risky. I wanted to, but then I wouldn't have had Knight and cycle for this Giant Skeleton, so that's why I couldn't really justify being that aggressive. And because of that play, I was able to get 1,000 damage, and the Knight Skeleton is just going to be an easy +2 trade against this Giant Skeleton. I am going to have to Rocket the Queen, and so it is a bit of an overcommitment. He goes for a Hog Rider and does not have enough elixir for the Earthquake. And this is another situation where Cannon is better than Tesla. When you have these low elixir scrambles, when you just need to get a building down, Cannon is just so efficient for only 3 elixir. Tesla would have cost more, and so if he went Hog and I was at 3 exactly, I would have had to go with like a super last second Tesla, whereas Cannon I can always kind of afford because it's cheaper. So that's another thing I really like about this deck. By the way, in terms of the deck itself, first time I actually saw this deck was Aragon using it. But I think he stopped using it because he said he didn't really like it that much, but I've actually enjoyed using it. So let me know if you guys would like to see a standalone video of me playing this deck as well. I really wouldn't mind because I feel like it's pretty decent. But here I pop ability. Thankfully his Log misses 1 skeleton, but I do miss my Fire Spirit, and so this looks very bad. Thankfully the Giant Skeleton bomb did not connect to my tower. I feel like it was super close, but we were fine. I just cannon against the Hog, and now I go for a very bad Log. I mean, I do hit the Fire Spirit, but I missed the Hog, so I feel like if I didn't miss the Hog, I wouldn't have needed to go for that Skeletons at the end. But still, we only take 1 hit, and we are still in the damage lead, so I guess it's not too bad. Since he has Earthquake, I can afford to go Queen like this, because he can't really kill it. And defensive expo, this is going to be the anti-earthquake placement. So at this point, my offensive expo's jobs are basically done. I'm still going to go for an offensive expo if I find the opportunity, but by default, I'm not really going to be incentivized to go for that, just because he has so many hard counters. He has the giant skeleton, he has the earthquake cycle, he has the archer queen, he has hog, he has cannon, he has many, many counters to an offensive expo, so I'm not really going to go in unless he wastes a bunch of them. And here, I have to pull the hog into my cannon, so I can just do so with an expo. Cannon is very good at DPS. Look how fast it DPS down the hog. Actually baited out the giant skeleton here, because my opponent was worried my expo would survive with like half a tick of HP or something like that. But I go for the knight. This time I learned from my mistake with the fire spirit, and I go for it early to make sure the giant skeleton doesn't walk all the way up to my queen. Here I decide to go for another defensive expo, because again, there's no real need to go in, and I do have a queen, and I have to take out his queen. So that's pretty fine, and I'm also log cycling, notice that. Even though log was nerfed, it's still pretty solid to do. And just saving knights for his giant skeletons. Now there's no point going defensive expo because he might be going for a hog, so I recognize that and I hold off on it. Instead I go for this defensive setup. He misses the cannon with the earthquake. So this actually isn't the defensive, or this isn't the anti-earthquake cannon placement, and yeah, you heard that right, there is literally an anti-earthquake cannon placement. So the only advantage Tesla had over cannon in terms of ground defense would be that it has an anti-earthquake, anti-lightning placement, but nope, cannon has one as well. I don't think I used it because I'm not very familiar with it yet, so I'm not confident, but I will show you guys the placement after this game, I guess, in training camp. And here he used both his hog and his earthquake, so I can afford to go in. This time I do commit my knight for the cannon, and I decide to log the cannon back. As he goes for the hog rider, which is going to be taking out my expo, but I just go for a low cannon. And he goes for the earthquake, but cannon is literally so good, it gets 2 hits in there, and then the towers with the fire spirit finishes it off. And at this point he just uses earthquake, so I can afford to defensive expo. It would actually be a pretty good defensive expo. Notice how I'm constantly switching lanes with my defensive expos as well, just to kind of avoid giving him spell value on my weaker side tower. And here's a play that you might not be expecting, but you can actually afford to rocket a giant skeleton in the same lane, in triple at least, maybe even in double. Because it takes about half its health. Same goes for a giant, for a royal giant, provided you are going same lane, you can totally do that. Something I learned when I was playing Icebo a long time ago. And so here I go for another cannon. I'm still not really confident in my anti-earthquake cannon placement, honestly, but it's fine. He just uses earthquake again, so I can defensive expo. At this point, I'm literally just defending, and 3.0 expo cycle wouldn't be able to do this because he would just be earthquake cycling me, and I do not really have the win condition in the rocket to be able to do this. But with this deck, I can easily just rocket cycle. And at this point, he just uses hog plus his earthquake, and I have a defense expo alive, plus the queen is dead, so that's kind of all signs that indicate that I can't afford to just rocket, and I do that. And now he goes for his final hog push. So I go for the knight, cannon, and then I know he's going to earthquake, and tower's targeting the giant skeleton, so I definitely need to get another building down. Expo is the only play, and I go for it, and I do just get a very nice win. Pretty much a flawless win, honestly. Even if I didn't get that lock at the start, see, I won by over 1,000 HP, so I would have still won this game. And overall, just a very nice game. Shows how the deck is supposed to work. You know, you can get offensive connections when you play smart and aggressively, but you can also just defend, and that is why the rocket is such a good deck, and that's why I think this deck is a lot, or card rather, not deck. That's why I think this deck is a lot better in the meta, because you have the rocket as an alternate win condition to the expo in a matchup like this where you'll never break through with an expo if they play it well. So next game is going to be against E-Giant Mirror Rocket with the Golden Knight, so all kind of super hard counters to the deck. Also has Baby Dragon in there, which is very annoying, although I guess it's better than if he had Skeletons, because he has a slower cycle as a result. But yeah, let's take a look at how I was able to win against E-Giant with this deck. And yeah, honestly, I've really been enjoying this deck. I still want to play 3.0 for the most part, but it's nice to know that if I'm ever tilting really hard, or if I want to break, there is this better Expo deck. And again, Archer Queen is just better than Archers because it's stronger as a card, and also the 3-card cycle is something you can never underestimate. So he goes for the Gold Knight dash, I believe, which actually helps me out, because, and I actually messed up with my Archer Queen, although I was kind of surprised it dashed all that way. But yeah, it helped me out because it let the tower target the Gold Knight, so, And here I recognize it's probably going to be Electro Giant, and he does reveal the E-Giant, and so this is exactly why Cannon's better than Tesla. If I went for a Tesla like this, it would be similar placement, you know, off to the side, but it would just be one more elixir. Cannon literally does the same exact job for one less elixir than the E-Giant, which is just so good. Here I get a nice skeleton surround on the bomber. It can be kind of tricky to do. Sometimes I mess it up, but I'm glad I was able to do it there. If I didn't, I always had the Fire Spirit as a backup option anyways. And I believe he mirrors his E-Giant here. So I was thinking for a little bit, I was like, okay, can I defend this without going for XBOW? But I don't think I could have, because I think Cannon was too far out of cycle. So forced to go for an XBOW here, as I do go for one. Yeah, Cannon was 3 cards off, so there's no way I could have done that. And by the way, in these situations against a max E-Giant level 13, don't be afraid to commit everything. So I go for a log. I even go for the Fire Spirit and Skeletons, just because I know it would get too much damage. So even though Fire Spirit and Skeletons don't seem like they do much, they're actually the huge difference maker, because E-Giant just barely didn't connect to my tower. If I didn't do that, it might have been a lot worse. And he spams Gold Knight at the bridge. I go for the Cannon anti-Gold Knight dash placement. If you go for it one lower, it'll actually dash onto your tower. I probably would have lost. So something I learned the hard way. And I'm kind of just laughing because he's literally just spamming me. He went E-Giant, he went Mirror E-Giant, and then he just spammed the bridge. Like, this deck is just ridiculous. But I'm glad I was able to win it. It had a happy ending. So at this point I'm down elixir, because why wouldn't I be? You know, he just spammed everything at the bridge and somehow gets an elixir advantage out of it. But he goes for a bomber in the back, and I'm pretty sure he's going to set up an E-Giant push, so there's no way I can afford to commit anything. He goes for an E-Giant in the back, and so this time I go for an XBOW. And he does kind of get bailed out by double elixir here, because he did just barely get enough for a rocket. If it was still single, I would have gotten even more damage, or he would have had to go for a cannon. By the way, there was no point predicting that cannon, because I wasn't sure if he'd go for it. But also, him having rocket is good and bad. It's good because it means he can't ever get rocket value on my Archer Queen plus cannon plus whatever, unless he goes for a rocket plus tornado. But the bad is that he can always rocket my XBOWs, and he can also rocket cycle my tower, which he definitely should have done. But I had the rocket in this deck as well, so it's actually decent. But right here, you can see Cannon just putting in a lot of work. He's just literally spamming everything, but Archer Queen ability is very strong, and I'm able to defend everything. Archers would not have done that. They would have just died. So very nice. Fire Spirit, bit of an overcommitment there, but still, it's fine. And I'm just resetting with pre-cannons, because I'm not sure he's going to go E-Giant or not, so going for an XBOW would be a bit too expensive, I think, or a bit too risky. I logged the E-Giant away, and here he goes for the Mirror E-Giant. So this is like the almighty, you know, double E-Giant scary push, which is very annoying, right? But you can defend this, and so the only way you can defend this is with 2 cannons, and that's why Cannon is so good, because it's so cheap that you can easily cycle to 2 cannons. I go for Cannon, then I go Knight, Archer Queen, and then I think I log the E-Giant as well, so Knight plus Archer Queen are necessary cycles. Then you can go for double cycle cards, or you can go 1 cycle card and a log, and then you're already back to your second cannon, so it's very easy to cycle back to another one. So I just go for that and pull the E-Giant away. Gold Knight does unfortunately dash onto my queen, but I do make a nice recovery. And here I go for an XBOW because I recognize that he actually didn't really have anything good in a cycle, except for the rocket. He goes for the cannon and actually misses the cannon. Not only does he play it late, but he also misplaces it, so it doesn't even hit the XBOW. So very nice there, very lucky of me. And I pretty much just win the game now, because XBOW, any building that doesn't attack the E-Giant is super good at defending it. So for example, mortar, spawners are all very solid. So XBOW, when it's locked onto something else, is actually very good against E-Giant, because as you can see, it just stays forever. Without the reflect damage, it doesn't really die. So just like that, I basically won, and I'm BMing him because he deserves it, in my opinion. Like, the way he played on the deck he's playing, apologies if you guys get offended by BM, but yeah. And here I just go for another XBOW, and he rockets, but at this point, like, it's definitely my game. I'm in the driver's seat. It's very much in my favor, and he has not broken through whatsoever. Notice that as well. Here his E-Giant push again, kind of just out of desperation. Yeah, he's also forced to go for a cannon to stop my Fire Spirit, which is kind of funny. And at this point, I think it's pretty much over. I go for an XBOW, and he goes Baby Dragon to cycle back to his rocket, but I do get a connection, so I think that's rocket log range or just rocket range. I'm not actually entirely sure, because I don't really play rocket, so I'm not entirely sure on the spell damage, but yeah. Even if I didn't get that huge connection, I still would have been okay, and yeah. Alright guys, so I unfortunately had to cut there because I got interrupted, but thankfully it was at the very end of the match anyways, so hopefully that was okay. Just basically, you can easily win against E-Giant with this deck, especially if they don't play well, especially if they don't have the Lightning. If they have Lightning, I think they're definitely still going to have a very good matchup against you, because Lightning is very good against Queen. If they have Rocket, you can definitely win. If they have Earthquake, I'm not sure, because I actually haven't played against Earthquake yet. Personally, I've only played Lightning or Rocket. But yeah, especially with the cannon in there, it's very, very useful. And you never really want to use Archer Queen on the E-Giant, at least directly. You can use it on the side, but usually you do want to use it on the support more often, because they can just NATO the Archer Queen in to the E-Giant, and then it just kind of gets destroyed. But yeah, I hope that one showed you guys how you can easily win against E-Giant if they don't play well, and if you play well. Even if you didn't mess up with that cannon, I was still winning. Notice, I was in the driver's seat. I didn't really ever let him rocket my tower, and if he ever did rocket my tower, I would have gone rocket back on his, so yeah, overall, just very solid. This deck can definitely do well, and mainly it's because of the cannon, I'd say. If you had a Tesla, it would be clunky. You know, when I talked about cycling multiple cannons, you can't really do that with Tesla as easily, because it's 2 more elixir, you know, 1 more elixir every Tesla. So yeah, just cannon, very solid. And lastly, we have this match against Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton, Earthquake. Very, very annoying matchup, very difficult. Although this person is playing the Barb Barrel, which is definitely a lot more welcome than the Log, which they usually play Log these days. But let's get into this one for the final match of the video of this little showcase. I guess I'll play one live game on ladder after, because why not, right? Just to show how it goes. We each give the good lucks, and I just go for a queen. So starting plays with this deck, Fire Spirit is definitely the best starting play, I'd say, but otherwise Log and Skeletons are fine, and Archer Queen is not bad either, I'd say. Knight is okay, but it's a bit risky, and XBOW is a bit too risky, I'd say. But he goes for the Giant Skeleton Zappies. So I go for a Knight last second to distract the Zappies so that the Queen can stay alive just a bit longer, and that does take out the entirety of that push. And he is at pretty much half an elixir less than me, so that's pretty good. And I got damage. Oh, this game's actually with Fireball. Yeah, so I was playing with Fireball at first, actually. He goes for an RG here. I go for the cannon and then Skellies. Really lucky that he went for this prediction Fisherman. Probably trying to predict a Knight or something. If he went for an Earthquake, it would have been more tricky. But if he went for an Earthquake, I think I might have just won, because I would have gone in and really punished him. But I still punish him. He just wasted an RG, and he's going to have to respond to not only my XBOW, but also my Knight, which is why he can't really afford to go Earthquake, because if he just goes Earthquake, he won't have any response to my Knight. So I decided to just log this instead of fireballing, because I feel like fireball is a bit too much of a commitment, and XBOW's going to be super solid either way. I mean, I take his tower down to 500, so I don't Fire Spirit on the Mother Witch, because I think it's fine to take that damage, and I recognize I spent quite a bit. I also rather just Fire Spirit at the bridge. And yeah, so he's actually pretty mad about that. I just pre-cycle a cannon, because if he does want to Earthquake it, I'm going to have to cycle back to 1 pretty soon, so might as well do it while he doesn't have an RG down, if that makes sense. It's kind of like cycling a pre-Tesla. Pre-cannon is very similar, and definitely something you can use with this deck. I actually noticed I use them a lot in E-Giant as well, and I wasn't even thinking about it. It's just like a decision that I subconsciously made, but I think it's a very solid play. And here he goes for another RG, but this time he does not have the Earthquake and Cycle. I just Fireball off the Mother Witch plus RG, and I'm BMing him a little bit because he's BMing as well, and he has RG Earthquake, so yeah, and I feel like Rocket, I feel like Rocket would have been better here, because damage, if I didn't get that connection, would have been a lot more helpful, but at the same time, Fireball is very useful against the Zappies, against the Mother Witch, so it's hard to say which one is really better, but probably Rocket, honestly. And here he's going to go for another push, and I do go for a cannon, and then I go Knight Skellies as well, and I also log the RG back. This is a very pivotal part of RG defense. You want to get your layers of DPS on it. So 1 is the cannon, 2 is the Knight, and 3 is usually the Skeletons. Archer Queen is possible, but it's expensive. Usually it would be Archers if you're playing 3.0. In this case, just Knight Skeletons, and then the final layer of defense is going to be logging the RG back, which is very nice, and yeah, I'm BMing him really hard here. I go for another Okay, I thought I was going to go for a pre-cannon, but I go for a queen instead. And I fireball, so that was definitely a kind of a misplay, I think, because as you can see, I try knight to pull this giant skeleton, but since I waited so long to play my knight, since I did, of course, go for the fireball first, I didn't afford it right away. Queen bypasses the knight, and I actually just let it lock on, or giant skeleton actually. I just let it lock on to my tower, so that was really scary, in all honesty. Definitely, what I could have done as well is I could have gone skeletons around here where I'm hovering, and then if I popped ability, giant skeleton would have walked up, and that would have probably been off my tower, but still, you know, just that one little misplay, the only kind of blemish in this match. But yeah, that's just going to be 2 fireballs, and he actually just messes up and lets this queen take his tower, so I give him the sarcastic well played because of that. And yeah, really nice win though, and that is going to do it. So for the games, I think I'll play one live match. Why not, right? But yeah, hopefully it shows you guys like you can win if you play with this deck. Like it's very solid, and you can beat all these impossible matchups. That's why I feel like it's a lot better in the meta, especially against hard counters to normal 3.0 Expo cycle. The rocket just enables so much. But yeah, we're gonna go for a match, guys, on ladder. I'm actually technically in mid ladder right now, because I didn't really play ladder at all on this account, so my season reset was very low, less than 6k, but let's go for it. Founder match against Joel B, and we're going to try our best. So just going to go Fire Spirit, and he's level 13, so Fire Spirit will probably force a response out. If not, yeah, very solid. Look at that, 301 damage I think it was, just ridiculous. And Dark Prince doesn't tell me too much, I'm not sure what it is. I guess I'll just log, and I don't want to rocket that, because I just committed a log, and it's very early on. I'm not sure what he has. I'm just going to play safe and go for a queen. There's no point overcommitting with something like a rocket this early on. Goes for the Goblin Giant as well. Okay, so looking like it's going to be Goblin Giant Sparky. We're going to cycle to our Knight, and then we're going to pop ability, and this should defend everything. Yep. So we defended that very easily, actually. And this is going to be a pretty straightforward matchup, because we literally just have rocket for a Sparky. This is going to be Goblin Giant Sparky, right? But a zap forced out of the Fire Spirit, so just an easy +1 there. And I can honestly XBOW here, because I think he's going to be pretty low in elixir. I'm going to do it. Even if he goes for a Sparky, I can just go Skeletons to surround it afterwards, because he just uses zap, so he doesn't have anything. He might have a Heal Spirit in this deck. It would be kind of annoying if he did, actually. I'll wait a bit to see if he goes for one. Otherwise, just Skeleton surround, no zap in cycle, so very easy. Just only -1 trade for an XBOW initiative there. And yeah, even if he, regardless of his level doesn't really affect us much, except for the fact that he has like 400 less HP to work with, because we aren't really going on his side of the map at all in terms of offense. Like XBOW is a deck that plays on our side, right? So yeah, let's see if he goes Goblin Giant in front. I really don't think he should, and yeah, he didn't. So we'll just reset with a queen in the back. And yeah, we're just gonna chill out. I actually might just pre-cannon like I was talking about. But I might do it a bit higher. Yeah, okay, goes Goblin Giant opposite, and then Mini P.E.K.K.A. So we're going to wait for the Goblin Giant to lock on to the cannon, and then we're going to go cycle back to our Knight, just to protect against the Mini P.E.K.K.A. And then I think we're going to XBOW. And this is going to be really good, because we have a Queen as well. So he has to go E-Wiz, Queen will take it out, and then Queen will also proceed to just destroy the Dark Prince. So just like that, we get a huge connection. Going to go Skeletons, going to cycle to my Knight. Okay, unfortunately didn't get it down in time, so not the best Knight. Actually, he could punish us here because we just wasted our Knight, but he actually does have to respond to that, yeah, so... And we can easily cycle back to another one. It's not like it's the end of the world. I feel like it would have been a pretty good play for him to go with a Goblin Giant in front of that, just because I didn't have a Knight. But yeah, I think he didn't know we had Rocket, so here we go. We're just going to Rocket the Sparky. Pretty much a free Rocket, and yeah, I feel kind of bad because this is just a super hard counter for us, and so... Apparently Sparky is pretty popular these days in terms of the meta, because I feel like it beats E-Giant pretty well, so that's probably why. So this is just a better matchup against Sparky as well, especially if you guys were struggling with your 3.0 versus Sparky matchups. You know, this deck can be a pretty solid pick for you. And this is a bit risky because Mini P.E.K.K.A. is threatening, but we are able to cycle back all the way to Skeletons. With the Queen down, 3-card cycle is just way too strong. And I think we're going to XBOW now. He could go for a Sparky to predict this. Would be a pretty good play. Okay, he does go for a Sparky just right on top. We're going to log it back to maybe retarget. And looks like it still doesn't retarget somehow. But that's fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter that our XBOWs aren't doing that much, because he's not ever able to break through. And this is where Cannon is also better, I'd say, because Tesla is just more clunky. Like, Tesla in this situation is so solid. By the way, I'm actually just going to rocket that, because Mini P.E.K.K.A is annoying. I'd rather not deal with it. And, yeah, we're going to Cannon after the Goblin Giant locks on to the Knight. He's going to E-Wiz on the Queen. The Queen will fully take out the E-Wiz and actually going to force another response out. Yeah, Mega Minion forced out, so Archer Queen is also doing us wonders in this matchup. And at this point, he's just building up Goblin Giant pushes in the back, but he's not really breaking through. So we're actually going to try go in right here. We're going to commit a lot to this as well. Okay, Queen was maybe a bit bad because Sparky's going to take it out, but XBOW is on tower. We're going to go Fire Spirit to just stall the E-Wiz for a bit, and that's just going to be rocket range. That's going to be GG, guys. Very easy match, and that just shows how seamless this deck is. That's how I'd describe it, honestly. Like, this deck is just not stressful to play whatsoever. The only time it would be stressful, I'd say, is probably against Lava Hound, Fireball Bait. Lava Loon should be a really good matchup still, but Lava Hound Miner with Flying Machine Skelly Drags, that's going to be kind of stressful. But still nothing you can't beat, because Archer Queen is just so solid. That's going to put me at 6k, though. I think let's go for one more, just because that match was really easy. Really good matchup for me, so let's hope we can get maybe a bit of a trickier one. Kind of funny that I would be hoping for a tricky matchup, but just to show you guys the potential of this deck. And as you can see, he just ignores the Fire Spirit. We're just up by 300 damage at the start, so who can complain about that? Okay, I really hope our opponent... Okay, another Sparky. We're just going to rocket this time because that's just a free rocket. It's kind of different than the E-Wiz the other time because I didn't know what he had when he played E-Wiz last time. This time I know it's going to be Sparky, so... Looks like it might be Giant Sparky, and so... This matchup isn't going to be as easy as it seems, because we don't actually have anything for his minion horde, since I'm pretty sure it's going to be Giant Sparky with the horde in there. But we should still have a pretty solid matchup. I mean, I can rocket the minion horde if I really want to. It's just that Fireball would be much better, of course. But not having to ever worry about a Sparky is a pretty good thing. And actually, it could be whatever, because it might not be Giant Sparky, but I feel like it is. Fire Spirit is so good, it splashes onto the Musketeer as well as the tower. Looks like he's setting up for a giant push right here. Yeah, he is. So we're going to go for a Knight on the Muskie, then just go for a Cannon. And this is why I love Cannon so much. I actually misplaced my Knight a little bit. Bit unfortunate there. But going to go Skellies to protect against the Mega Minion so that Queen can take out the Muskie. That's why I love Cannon, though. It literally did the same job as a Tesla, just for one cheaper against the Giant. Like, that's just the best way I can describe it. And looks like we're going to be down a bit of Elixir, but there's still absolutely no reason not to rocket this Sparky, I think. Just because... It's literally just a free rocket. Not really sure what our opponent is trying to do by going for that. Maybe he has like a mirror in here. He's trying to bait out my rocket. Maybe he has an elixir pump. Otherwise, a bit confused by his goals there. But Mini P.E.K.K.A on the back. Let's just reset with a pre-cannon. Again, this is similar to a pre-Tesla. You can think of it in the same way. And it's just going to be very solid. So he goes for arrows. Not going to be a good play at all. And then we can actually just Queen on the Musketeer. And I think we can actually XBOW in this position just because we have a Queen alive. And it should be pretty solid. So we're going to go for the ability. And I'm going to try and Skeletons for the Mega Minion. Okay, I could honestly go for a really funny rocket there on everything, but I feel like it was a bit risky, so I'm not going to. Okay, Tower is on the Mini P.E.K.K.A, which is interesting because Giant is still alive, but we only take one hit, so it's fine. Not going to go anything, yeah, because he goes Sparky. We're actually just going to rocket the Sparky so that we can keep our Queen alive and force something out. Force his Mega Minion out. Probably going to force something else out too. Okay, Snowball as well. And still, yeah, another thing is also required, so I think Log plus Fire Spirit should fully deal with this Mini P.E.K.K.A. I mean, Fire Spirit, yeah, it does so much damage, so again, just pre-cannon. And we are totally fine. We're going to go for an XBOW here. We do have a cannon supporting it, and looks like he's not playing anything, so... Okay, that time, this time I'm going to rocket, I think, just because, why not? So we do take out the Musketeer. We're going to log this Giant back, and Cannon's helping out as well, and XBOW is going to be on tower. So he has to zap. Actually, I'm not even sure if he has his... Yeah, he has a Snowball, not even a zap. So that's just going to be game, actually. Another Sparky deck. I think I am... gonna go for one more. I'm not sure if you guys like the longer video or dislike it, so I guess apologies if you wanted like a shorter one, but I mean the intro is also very long, but I want to show a different matchup other than just Sparky, because like this would be kind of annoying if we had archers like 3.0, but it's just free with rocket, right? And this one I would win with either version. because he doesn't even have arrows. But yeah, let's go for one more, I think. Let's try and get a more diverse matchup, hopefully. Seems like Sparky is everywhere in mid-ladder, kind of funny. But yeah, here we go. Found a match against a Japanese player. Let's go for the Fire Spirit. Give him the good luck back. And wow, I don't know what's with people allowing my Fire Spirits to connect, but I'm not complaining. Okay, I actually misplaced my cannon, unfortunately. One Royal Hog does connect, but it's fine because actually I'm still in the damage lead from my Fire Spirit, which is hilarious. So it looks like it might be Royal Hogs. Okay, never mind. It's going to be Royal Recruits, and so I actually lost this twice. Let's see if I can redeem myself and hopefully win it in this one. Gonna Fire Spirit to stall one hit from the Flying Machine, and he goes for the Cage. Very valid play. He's probably gonna Recruits, if I had to guess, on top of my Archer Queen. I think it would be a good play. Actually goes for Fireball, and sadly the Queen gets taken out. I'm just gonna pre-cannon, honestly, and yeah. Hopefully he has a Barb Barrel in here. Okay, he actually goes for a pretty well-played Mother Witch, predicting my skeletons. We are going to be forced to log, and I think we are going to be forced to rocket on defense here against those Royal Hogs. Yeah, simply because they would have done too much damage, and I probably should have gone for a Fire Spirit on that Mother Witch. But yeah, I feel like my opponent is BMing with the good luck, so I'm not sure. But we're just going to go Fire Spirit. He should be forced to play something uncomfortable here, or just going to eat it. That's fine too. And we're going to go for Archer Queen in the back. So it's funny, we're actually in the lead just because of 2 Fire Spirits, it looks like, and maybe a Log or 2. But we do have to be very careful of that Mother Witch for sure. Okay, Royal Recruits comes down. We're going to go Cannon and then protect it with a Knight. And this is one annoying thing, Flying Machine, because we don't have the Fireball. That, I will admit, is kind of annoying. But Archer Queen actually survives and takes it out, so that's actually perfect. And now we are actually just 1 card away from a Ken, so I'm actually just going to Fire Spirit preemptively, just to cycle back to, and he actually misplaced his Barb Barrel, so just like that, you know, just casually another 300 damage, we'll take it. Let's go for another cannon here, and Mother Witch, not going to be working out this time. I'm not going to fall for the same trick twice, just going to Knight on top, and I think I'm going to Expo. This is going to be kind of risky because he's probably going to Recruit. But actually doesn't have enough for it right now, yeah, so that's just going to lock on. Nice, we caught him at a perfect timing after he committed his zap. He's definitely going to Recruits now, so notice how I'm not really committing anything in front, because this is going to be a bit of a tricky defense to pull off. But I think what's going to be imperative here is protecting our cannon, and then also getting back to another log for all these Royal Hogs. Look at that Fire Spirit log. Look at that crowd control on the Royal Hogs, just amazing. Queen to snipe the Flying Machine, Skeletons to clean up, and Tower is going to be on the bar, but I'm actually fine with this. Like, I'm not really panicking whatsoever because we got a huge connection, and I'm totally okay. So, yeah, I think we won. We're just going to go for an anti-fireball cannon just in case he tries something last second, but yeah, he's just going to give up. It's going to be GG. Finally redeemed myself against Royal Hogs. Let's go. So pretty happy about that, and I think that is going to be a good one to end on, because that's, like, not an easy matchup, I'd say, since he has the Flying Machine and Mother Witch, but that is still a matchup that you can very much win, especially if you play well. So this deck is just pretty good, I'd say. Like, lots of possibilities. You can win against a lot of different things with this deck if you play well, and very solid alternate option, so consider giving it a try if you're struggling with 3.0, because I've definitely been having a lot of fun with it, a lot of success, and it's been great. But yeah, I guess that's going to do it for the video, guys. So just wanted to show you kind of a different look into another XBOW deck. This one is very fun and very interesting, so definitely feel free to give it a try. Again, Cannon is so good compared to Tesla, just much better card in my opinion, so that's why we're using it. And Archer Queen is just better than Archers as well, so 3-card cycle enabled too. Fire Spirit is so dumb. You saw in that Recruits match how much damage it got just by Fire Spirit at the bridge pressuring, and then Rocket Cycle finally, another good viable win condition. So yeah, that's going to be it though, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to give this one a shot if you're struggling, and let me know if you'd be interested in another video where I just play this deck the whole time, maybe on ladder or in a challenge or something. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.